Hey, happy Wednesday, 2222. We're going to change it up and start just a tiny bit early because we have a really full agenda and we want to give everybody ample time. Welcome to the Rotary Club of York. We are a people of action committed to service above self and honoring the four-way test. If you haven't already done so, please silence your cell phones. Deb Harrison will lead us in our opening song, America the Beautiful, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. David Hogue will offer the invocation, and Eric Chase will introduce our visitors.
Please join me. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's give thanks. O God of eternity, we come before you in joy, in trepidation, and in thanks. We thank you for the progress you've helped us achieve in battling COVID-19. As a result, you've restored the joy of gathering with our fellow Rotarians for fellowship over a meal. You created us to live with each other, and once again, we're doing that together. Yet some of our friends and family actively battled this disease today. Others, mostly recovered, fight on and on with lingering symptoms. And for them, we ask for complete healing, that you may fully restore them to health. World leaders once again beat the drums of war for the various reasons that humans do such things. We pray that you provide these leaders with wisdom and that peace will prevail without the insidious evil that inevitably accompanies armed conflict. You provide for our needs here on earth. We thank you for reminding us, as you do again today, how wonderful it is when we discover new combinations of what you've provided. Thank you for blessing some with the creativity to do this for our nourishment and for our pleasure. Bless the food we eat today, that it may strengthen us to pursue your will through the four-way test, and bless those who have provided it for us. Amen.
You may be seated, and I am pleased to have the honor to introduce our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand or remain standing until President Jackie has welcomed all of our visitors, and we have quite the list today. First, Evelyn Ildefonso, who is a guest of the club. Trevor Shank, who's also a guest of the club. William Shank, a guest of the club. Mary Lois Shank, a guest of Austin Shank. John Langle, a guest of Austin Shank. Deborah Detzel Garland, a guest of Austin Shank. Kevin Shank, a guest of Austin Shank. Montika Smith, guest of Youth Leadership. Yodelka or Yudi Rosario Aguerrio is a guest of Youth Leadership. Also, Montika Smith is a guest of Youth Leadership. Halman Smith is a guest of Youth Leadership. And then Yodelka Rosario is a guest of Youth Leadership. Camila De Jesus is a guest of Youth Leadership. Cynthia Layton, a guest of Youth Leadership. Angela Clark, also a guest of Youth Leadership. And Artura Anderson, a guest of Youth Leadership. We also have Tiffany Gladfelter, who's known to the club, a guest of Rob Bowen, and another person who's well known to this club, Bert Olberdick, an honorary member. So if they would all rise, and Jackie will recognize you.
It is so great to see so many wonderful faces in this room. We're delighted that you could be with us today. Especially excited to see little William and little Camilla. You can come back and join us anytime. It is just really delightful to have a room filled with all of you, and it's a sign that we're really hopeful about the direction that we're headed in. So I hope for you who are visiting that you find today's program delicious and informative and interesting, and that you find the company engaging and welcoming and warm, and we hope that you'll plan to join us again often. Rotarians, please help me welcome our guests. The membership, oh, you can be seated. Thank you so much. The membership committee meets today at 1:30 in the terrace room. The IDEA committee will meet on Monday, February 7th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The Preserve Planet Earth committee will meet on Wednesday, February 9th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The membership committee would like to extend happy anniversary wishes to the following members who joined the club during the last week of January and the first week of February, and say thank you for being valued members of the Rotary Club of York. This guy is just my favorite, my most favorite Rotarian. Past President Mike Summers joined the club on January 28th of 1987 and has been a member for 35 years. And as you know, he does a yeoman's job of chairing our program committee. We love the work that you and your committee do, and so appreciate all that you do. Thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause. I'm also delighted to say happy anniversary to Carl Saladay. Carl joined the club on February 1st, 1967, and has been a member of our club for 55 years. Yesterday, Carl celebrated his 93rd birthday. He is here with us today. We're so glad to see you. Thank you, Carl. We have another really special member with us today as well. Past President Jim Walker, after being hit with a baseball, decided that he would make the move to Ohio permanently to get away from all of that chaos. And we had announced that some time ago, but he's getting very close to make the move to Granville, Ohio, to be closer to his family there, to the beautiful town of Granville, home of Denison University, go Big Red, and neighbor to Ohio State. Jim has been a member of our club for 39 years. He joined in 1982, has been very, very active with so many committees, leading so many committees, and he holds the distinction of bringing in more members than anyone else in our club, responsible for a lot of our membership. So to honor him, the board of directors voted unanimously to make Jim a member emeritus. And he plans to take full use of that because he loves being a part of our club, and that's the hardest thing for him to leave. So he's going to join us frequently via Zoom from Ohio, and whenever he's back visiting, he plans to come in person. We're going to miss you. We're going to look forward to seeing your face on the screen, and we thank you for your many years of service, Jim. This month, we celebrate Black History Month and all that it represents. And we know we have some history of our own. 42 years ago, Bobby Simpson became the first Black member of our club. And 12 years after that, Vilma Garcia Jones became the first Latina woman member of our club. And then fast forward, and we just inducted our very first Black woman of our club. And that is Elaine Bonneau. We are so glad she's here, bringing her energy and her talent. And it's a goal of this club to continue to diversify, to better represent the community that we serve. Let's give a round of applause for all the work that you're all doing in this area. And now for our member moment. Debbie Ashway joined Rotary in 2012. Past President Ann Druck was her proposer. Debbie's dad is Jess Aguerrio, who's been a member for 54 years. She has many fond memories of participating in club activities when she was a young girl. As a Rotarian, she was one of the original members of our CEF board and served on our RCY board and currently serves on the Student Scholarship Committee. She's proud that Rotary has touched the lives of many in our community, especially in the city of York. Debbie grew up in York and is third generation in the family jewelry business, Feuder Brothers, now in its 90th year. After graduating from college, she moved to Washington, DC to work for Garfinkel's department store, which was 1 block away from the White House. She describes her experience in the store's China and crystal department as her graduate school, where she sold to senators and diplomats. She recalls the time an embassy ordered $100,000 worth of china, and a particular highlight for her was making a delivery to the White House. She was living in Washington the year Princess Diana made her first trip to America. There was a Princess Diana lookalike contest that Debbie was entered into. You can see that. Her hair, clothes, and makeup bore a striking resemblance to the young princess. And although she didn't win, she was often stopped in the street by passersby asking if she was Diana. Debbie is a certified gemologist with over 33 years of experience. Being in the jewelry business has provided her family with some incredible jewelry buying experiences over the years. One of the most exciting was when a customer consigned the purchase of a 7.5 carat diamond, which just found in Chicago and had to hand carry back to York. The diamond was purchased for $200,000, and it is worth twice that today. Debbie and her husband, Craig, often travel for business to Antwerp, Belgium, the renowned diamond buying capital of the world. Debbie attributes all of her jewelry knowledge to her dad and is grateful to him for introducing her to Rotary all those years ago. She's happy to pay forward much of what he has taught her and considers Rotary to be one of the most important organizations she is part of. Thank you, Debbie, for including Rotary in your family legacy and for serving to change lives. Before I get to that, yes, we have a courageous conversation announcement by Chris Toff.
Thank you, President Jackie. Am I the only one that noticed Mike's got to be a real special guy? Her voice changed when she started talking about him. All of a sudden, she said, Mike is a very special guy. Fellow Rotarians, a few months back, we had our Idea Committee Courageous Conversations on race. I'd like to thank the 40 Rotarians that took part in those conversations. They were very good conversations, and in some cases, I felt like they were too short. We were just starting to get the ball rolling when we had to end them. As a committee, we've reviewed the notes from all of those conversations that we had to sort of figure out a course to make our club a little bit more diverse, more reflective of the community that we serve, and in the end, more effective at our core mission of service above self. There were a lot of takeaways from these conversations, but there's one particular item that kind of stuck out more than any of the other ones. Now, being on the Idea Committee, I could sit here and tell you about what all that was about, but I think it would be better if someone that actually participated in one of those conversations gave you a feel for what that was like and how the conversation went for him. So with that being said, I'd like to have Dave Meckley come up and say a few words. Dave?
Thank you. We as business and community leaders have worked in some cases for decades to eliminate racism. And while there's been progress and plenty of work left, but for many of us, it's been easy to take a stand against overt racism. But over the past few years, I've become more aware of the subtle and more invisible aspects of systematic racism. And frankly, I've come to understand, as I've come to understand systematic racism, it's forced me to take a self-examination that in my case led me to understand how the system played a positive differential role that significantly tipped the scales in my favor. Perhaps to emphasize that point, my personal story would be entitled A Self-Portrait in Systematic Racism. There are a wide range of personal stories in this Rotary Club, and part of the courageous conversations is honestly sharing those stories as a means to understand our individual and collective past. And while some stories may be uncomfortable and even painful, there's power in sharing and understanding. So I hope many of you will choose to participate. But there's also a Rotary system. And in many regards, our governance hasn't changed for 100 years. If we're to be a model for community in diversity, equity, and inclusion, then we need to examine our system, the way we select leaders, the social aspects of our club, and how we measure success. Perhaps aspiring to be the 20th largest club sets in motion a system that creates unintended consequences. I was grateful for the opportunity to participate in Rotary's Courageous Conversations this past fall, and I encourage as many members as possible to participate in the continuing Courageous Conversations about race. Share your personal stories among small groups as a way to build understanding and look through a systems lens at our club governance and club meeting structure, and help suggest changes for the future that will make our club stronger through new measures of success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. We told you that there would be follow-up to our Courageous Conversation. So in conjunction with the membership committee, the IDEA committee is going to host 2 Zoom sessions that will focus on developing strategies for our club that have the ultimate goal of making our club more inviting. Amazingly enough, as we went through these conversations and looked at the notes, the biggest thing that came out and jumped off the page to us was not so much that we needed to look at ways to diversify our membership, but the fact that, and I know you're all very nice, warm, friendly people, but that our club was not the most welcoming place in the world for anybody, regardless of their gender, their race, their religion, their height, any of those things. So that's something that we've got to address before we can even tackle any of the other issues out there. So what we're going to do, we want to make a club that makes people want to join us because of the experience of being at one of our meetings. In addition, this round of discussion will also ask participants to contribute ideas on making members, new and not so new, feel like they are really part of something special as a Rotarian. You should all be receiving an email with an invitation to join. That email, by my watch, should be coming right about the time Jim Anderson's got a question for Rebekah on her presentation today. So be prepared to see that coming into your inboxes. There will be a sign-up genius that allows you to register for either of the scheduled conversations. Just put it in your minds and hopefully on your calendar that the Courageous Conversations to the follow-up dates and times are March 1st, Tuesday, March 1st at 9 a.m. and Thursday, March 3rd at 4 p.m. They're each going to be scheduled for about 90 minutes. This is time to have your voice heard to help us improve in the future. We're a better club with more input. Please give us yours at one of the Courageous Conversations that we have scheduled coming up at the end of this month and the beginning of March. Thanks again. I hope to see you all soon.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, David. And thank you to the IDEA committee for all the important work that you're doing. It does take all of us. And I really look to each and every one of us to think about what's been said here today and what we're striving to do going forward and the part that you can play in that. I have been remiss in that I didn't say a special thank you to my colleague, President-elect Glenn Miller, for filling in my absence last week at our meeting. Thank you so much for taking over for me. I know you did a fabulous job. This morning, we held our new member orientation. We do that periodically. We bring the new members who have come in, who might have already been inducted, and those who are going to be inducted going forward. There were 18 people at that orientation earlier, not including those of us who are in Rotary. The last 3 weeks, we've inducted new members, and today and the next 2 weeks following today, we're going to induct new members. That's a really, really great sign for the health and the spirit of this club and our membership. So at this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce past President Josh George for new member inductions.
Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Thank you, President Jackie. As Jackie said, we've been on a great streak. We are now 4 weeks in. Hopefully we get to 6 or 7 weeks in of inducting new members every week. And we get back to that point where we wanted to be. When I was president of the club a couple of years ago, we were really rolling high, and then I screwed it all up and the membership dropped by like 50 people. Exactly. I figured you might say it before I got to, so I wanted to say it first. But we've been on a really good streak, and really thanks to all of you for proposing new members. Thank you for talking to your friends, your colleagues, your family about what we do here in the Rotary Club of York, about how we serve the community, and about how we create a great network of individuals who get to know each other and help each other along. So with that said, we are able to today introduce you to 4 new members. And of course, Jackie mentioned earlier some of our longstanding members who were celebrating anniversaries. Carl, 55 years. That's amazing. We're today at the other end of the spectrum. So I will challenge you members to get to 55 years. It's a great goal. So without further ado, I would like to first reintroduce you to Brad Smith. Brad, you take a step forward, raise your hand, whatever you'd like to do. Brad, you may remember, was a member of our club from 2012 to 2014, and we're really glad to have him back. He is a graduate of Dallastown High School and also York College. And if you happen to be at our new member orientation, you saw a strong York College theme at our new member orientation today. Brad's part of that, and we'll continue that. He is currently employed as the general manager of Hanover Volkswagen. His community service includes, he serves as a contributing editor at Rolling Magazine, which is part of the Volvo Club of America. And you may know that Brad spent many years working at Lehman Volvo here in York. He is also a past committee member of the Concours d'Elegance, which is a car event as well. And he is a past board member of the York College Alumni Board. His hobbies include sporting clays, skiing, gardening, hiking, and biking. He's married to Lonnie, and they have 3 boys: Alexander, who's 18, Nicholas, who's 16, and Oliver, who's 13. Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Smith. Next, we have Beth Trimmer. Beth is a graduate of York Catholic High School, and she went to Penn State, where she earned her Bachelor of Arts in Labor and Industrial Relations. She currently works as an HR consultant, so many of you should get to know her well. She can probably help you out at some point with alternative HR. Her community involvement includes serving as a campaign coordinator for the United Way. She's also CPR certified and has served as a first responder. And she has organized numerous charity events for several of the employers where she has worked. Her hobbies include painting, hiking, basketball, and just hanging out with friends. And her proposer is Ann Druck. Beth Trimmer. Next, we have Christopher CJ Gross. Feel free to call him Christopher or CJ, whichever you like. He is from Maryland, where he went to Oxon Hill High School in Prince George's County. And then he went to Ashford University, which is in San Diego, where he majored in organizational management and entrepreneurship. He then went to St. Bonaventure in Albany, New York, where he earned a degree in strategic leadership. And interestingly enough, he is going to Oxford University this summer for some training and additional education at Oxford. So if you want to know a little bit about what that's like when he gets back, he'll be here in the fall to tell you. He is the founder and CEO of Ascension Worldwide, which is a consulting and business management company who focuses on diversity, equity, and inclusion. His community involvement includes a board member for HUD Housing Organization, and he has provided career development services for several nonprofit agencies in the past. His hobbies include scuba diving, motocross, both motorcycles and bicycles, and he recently took up golf, which he described, or maybe I described it for him, as a lot safer than motocross. He's married to Carrie Ann, and they have 3 children: Chris, who is 24, Kristen, who is 23, and Lauren, who is 21. CJ Gross. And last but not least, we have Michael Schutte. Michael's a graduate of Kennerdale and also York College of Pennsylvania, where he earned a degree in business administration. And he stayed and also then earned an MBA with a financial management focus. He is employed at S&T Bank, where he is a vice president in commercial banking. His community service includes as a board member for York Habitat for Humanity, a board member for the Eichelberger Performing Arts Center, and also he served on the York College Alumni Board. His hobbies include, oops, you know what? I didn't get this on here correctly. What are your hobbies? Perfect. And that's what happens when you screw up your script. His spouse is Danielle, and they have 2 kids, Lorenzo, who is 2, and Livia, who I believe is 4 months old now, right? Yep. And his proposer is Adam Saubel. Mike Schutte. Thanks to all of our new members for joining our club. We look forward to getting to know you. President Jackie.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much for making this a commitment in your lives. And as we discussed in our meeting this morning, your experience, your fulfillment is really directly tied to how much you put into it. So we encourage you to get involved with committees, meet Rotarians, join different tables at lunch, walk around. And Rotarians, I ask the same of you. Make sure that you introduce yourselves to our new members. You invite them to sit with you, invite them to come visit your committee or perhaps join your committee. And let's help make this club a really warm and welcoming place where lots of people will want to be. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. And now Eric Chase will introduce our students of the month.
I don't know what I did to get on the podium twice today, but it's my pleasure to introduce to you 2 11th graders from Logos Academy here in York City as our students of the month. First, we have Montika Smith, who is the daughter of Montika and Halman Smith, who you met during our introductions. Her school activities include, she has won the Poetry Out Loud twice, so you might have to ask her what that is all about. She's the student government president, and she's also been a youth encouragement group co-leader and co-founder. She likes to write and sing, loves poetry writing and performance in the theater arts. She's been on the Distinguished Honor Roll for 4 years, and she hopes to get an associate's degree in sociology and her master's in public relation, and she hopes to work in the field of communications. If you would give a warm welcome to Montika Smith.
Of all the 101 ways in which men can make themselves useful to society, undoubtedly, the most available and often the most effective are within the spheres of their own occupations. Paul Harris, the founder of this Rotary Club, said this, hoping that would be a key to the success of all who came across those words. When I read that quote, the implied meaning that stuck out was this: we aren't supposed to chase down greatness. We are supposed to be great in what we do right now and let the reward follow. Thank you, everyone, for being here today to recognize my friend and I as Rotary of York Students of the Month. I really appreciate this. And more importantly, I appreciate everyone who has poured into my life ever since I was young. I don't take it for granted at all. Every hug, every well-intended scolding, every lecture, Every lesson has shaped me into the imperfect but growing person you see today. I have grown up in a family where their careers really embody the words of Paul Harris. From lovingly caring for disabled adults, helping someone find a book they will go on to love, navigating someone's faulty software, supporting new employees, to leading young couples to furniture they will relax on for years. I have been surrounded by individuals who, in their ability to make people smile, have done so with excellence and with love. They have been made leaders in their occupations, not only in title, but in performance. My vision for leadership is simple: show practical love by meeting practical needs. As social, emotional, rational, and often irrational people, we have specific needs and desires. How can a person lead without first serving people up close, seeing their everyday needs and fulfilling them? If I could use my words, my time, my energy, and a bit of my knowledge to improve someone's quality of life, it would mean so much more than making empty promises. Not everyone is going to wake up a leader, but everyone wakes up with a dream and wakes up with the responsibility to help someone else. Viola Davis gave this encouragement. Perhaps your elixir is simply this: you can either leave something for people or you can leave something in people. I believe by hosting this acknowledgement every month, Rotary of York is leaving something in the youth of the city. Rotary of York is giving us the opportunity to see ourselves as leaders, to see ourselves as excellent in our occupations as students, to see ourselves as shapers of the future. As I go on in life and in leadership, I promise to take this acknowledgement and be a shaper of the future by serving and by loving. Thank you.
Antique, if you would stay up here, because we do have a certificate for you. It's okay. That's my fault because I didn't give you great direction and they put us at two tables. And our next student is Yodelka Rosario Aguerrio. She goes by Yudi. She is the daughter also of Yodelka Aguerrio, and she's 11th grader at Logos Academy. She spends a lot of time working and taking care of her sister who you met, Camila. She loves painting, reading. She was there reading a book. She was very intently reading her book. She's always reading, they tell me, and exploring new things. She also would like to get a master's degree, get this, in forensic science and a state certification in mortuary science. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Yudi.
The late Martin Luther King Jr. was considered a leader, and he defined the idea of leadership. Dr. King said, "A genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a motive for consensus." Leadership requires authority and trust within your fellow companions by voicing your opinions. And a good leader will also listen to the opinions of others. Because being a leader isn't everything. Sometimes being equal is better. Listening to others when needed is better than having to show the way. For example, we may have one problem, but that problem can have many different solutions. And it's best to let our guards down and seek counsel within others. The American way of life, the majority of the time, is being by yourself and to fake until you make it. But sometimes we can sit down with someone and talk with them. We can ask them for guidance about our lives and the stress that we have. We can even talk about with them for ideas with help with problems that we have. We give each other different perspectives, and we constantly learning new things every day because of people we trust. We should encourage others to achieve their goals just like ourselves. We all have goals and aspirations to succeed in life. I have dreams and goals like everyone else. My dream is to find peace and happiness on an emotional and mental level, and my goal is to get a master's in forensics and a state certificate in embalming. My mother has goals. She wants to be the best she can be and get her nursing degree. We all have goals, dreams, and aspirations. We just lost the joy of succeeding. The pandemic has changed our lives drastically, and it has been hard for us to focus on our goals and dreams. One thing that I learned is that if we sit back, breathe for a second, and ask for help when needed, we can help each other succeed. A lot of historic events didn't happen with just one person. Sure, one person stood up and gave an idea, but they didn't do it by themselves. Many activists gave the idea on their own and convinced people to stand up and speak for what they wanted. And most, if not all, the people want to have their freedom and or rights. A group effort can alleviate the stress when working on certain problems like raising a child. The people raising a child don't have to be the mother or the father, but the people who generally love the child. Lastly, I would like to thank everyone for coming here today to support me and Tika, and for even nominating us for the event. I find this an enjoyable aspect of our community, noticing us students, signifying that our efforts get noticed or make a change in someone's life. We really try to get our achievements known, even if it's shown to the people we know. Yet having it seen and known by the community will be an unforgettable moment that we will talk about for a while, because I know I will.
Don't you love Students of the Month? Oh my gosh. They are an inspiration, aren't they? They are role models. They're paving the way for a brighter future. They're our hope. Thank you so much. All the best to both of you. Come back often to see us, and we look forward to you being members at some point. All right. Thank you very much. So this is a bittersweet moment, because as I announced some time ago, very sadly, we are saying farewell to our beloved Renee Oberdick, who will be leaving our employ after 7 years of incredible service to this club. She's been inspirational and exceptional, and a delight in every way to work with, and makes these meetings so seamless, does a lot of that behind the scenes work to pull all of this off. And she has been instrumental in the fine work of the scholarship committee for Diane Marino and her committee. We're going to really miss you, but we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And would like you to come up for a moment so that you can say your farewell.
Well, the flowers are beautiful. I said I didn't want anything, but I will take them because they're beautiful. I'm just going to speak for a couple minutes. I know I can't go over my time limit because Bert forgot her phone in the car. So today's Groundhog Day. Seems like every day is Groundhog Day, every Wednesday here at the Country Club for our weekly lunch. It's totally different every week, as you know. My knowledge and relationship of the Rotary Club, any Rotary Club, started December 1987, whenever I was awarded my senior year of high school Rotary Club Student of the Month in my little town of West Newton, Pennsylvania. Cut to 1995, I started at the Yorktown Hotel. Rick Cunningham told me, now you do know every Wednesday you need to be available. For what, Rick? Well, every Wednesday you have to pour coffee for the Rotarians in the ballroom. So every Wednesday, if I look familiar, that's why. I was down there pouring coffee to all the members underneath the clock, the non-functioning clock down in the ballroom. Cut to 2014, December, meeting a bunch of friends for lunch in the Yorktown Hotel again. Who do we run into? Bert Oberdick in the lobby. Talk a couple minutes. Oh, I think we have a position. Or maybe we'll hire you or something, Renee. Let's talk. Next thing I know, I'm being interviewed by Al Sykes. At that point, he was on the docket to be president, and Patty Rooney. So those were the original HR committee. They hired me for this new position. I was going to take over and be Bert's assistant and be the student education administrator, whatever that means. Well, who would have known that 7 years later, last Wednesday, here I still am. And boy, has the student education grown. It has been a blast. Diane Marino, the committee, the hours and hours that we spend going through the scholarships, going through the loans, the interviews, all the current committee members, all the previous committee members for your time, your energy, your effort, your unwavering emails back and forth for clarification, and then the hours during the actual interviews. You guys are awesome, dedicated members. And for those that leave legacies so that we can have the scholarships, even better. Apparently so much that now we've grown the scholarships so much, I don't know if we can handle it anymore. To the registrars, the cashiers, the meeting support people, the people who help with the badge boards, thank you. You do not realize how your little work helps so much to make the meeting seamless each week. It runs just so smooth with that. Ken Cooper, your knowledge, your patience, your guidance through the years, all the recent upgrades we've had to do during COVID. Thank you. Ben Ott, if it wasn't for you, I don't know how we would be meeting. How I was supposed to take over that as well and run the meetings, I don't know, but thank you for your, again, communication, your time, your effort, your emails back and forth. We work well together. Okay, Bert, 27 plus years. I only made it 7, but it seemed like 27 at times. Thank you for your support. Thank you for hiring me. Thank you for properly training me. We work together as a team. We had constant communication or attention to detail. I mean, we just make it look so smooth. Jackie, what a challenging year. Finished these last month strong. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your kind words constantly. You know, I think I'm pretty humble, hardworking. I try not to take credit for anything, but when I look back sometimes, even just some of the emails that I send during the day and some of the spreadsheets and Word docs that I work on, I think, good gracious, some days I'm extremely efficient. Some days not as much, but man, the work that we crank out of that office is just amazing. I try to live to the 4-way test. Try, that's the key word. Got to live by it, whether you're at work or in your personal life. To the officers, to the board, to Lynn in the executive office or in the executive. Thank you. Good luck. Growing the club to where you want it to be, back to where we should be here. Country Club has always been great to us, even with last minute changes. Food's always been delicious. Desserts outstanding. Hopefully I'll lose some weight now. And members here on Zoom, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me. Thank you for the memories. I could write a book with each Wednesday with some of the questions, comments, concerns that come up, but it's kind of funny. If you see me out and about, please say hello. I might not recognize you without your name tag and or your mask. Please say hello. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a fun 7 years. Best of luck to everyone. Thank you. Please sit down, not necessary. Thank you.
Okay. Big shoes to fill, Renee, big shoes to fill. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Austin Shank, who will introduce our program.
If you have not done so already, please enjoy the samples of the product that we're going to hear about today that are right there in the center of your table. And if you happen to be at a table that there is more people than there are samples, then implement the 4-way test. The creator of these delicious treats is going to be sharing with us her passion and her heart. I would like to introduce her to you. With roots in York, Pennsylvania, and currently hailing from Philadelphia, PA, Rebekah Shenk comes to us as an advocate for others and an entrepreneur on a mission. She is a full-time wife and mother, and she also works virtually as a content writer for E-Impact Marketing in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. As will be evident in her presentation, Rebekah's passion is to bless others. And to bless each person that she meets. Her heart is to prioritize the potential and to recognize the dignity in others. While serving for 3 years as a life coach and mentor for students at Tidings of Peace Christian School, Rebekah developed her enthusiasm for empowering young women to reach their full potential. Rebekah is excited to share the story of building a delicious dream into a functioning business, which provides a quality treat for her customers, a positive work environment for high school girls, and ethical production for eliminating injustice, one purchase at a time. Prepared to hear the developing story of her company, Redemptive Sweets, and the lessons she learned along the way. I give to you, Rebekah Shenk, my sister-in-law.
Good afternoon. I think it would be an understatement to say that I'm incredibly honored and deeply grateful to be with you all at the Rotary and to share with you all a project for liberty. I would like to start with a question. How many of you like chocolates? Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we all thoroughly enjoy chocolate. So I have another question. Where does chocolate come from? Do any of you recognize this tree? Yes, a cocoa tree. And more specifically, do any of you recognize the pinkish red fruit that are hanging off its branches? Those are cocoa pods. So if you would get a machete and cut one of those in half, you would see this. That right there, that's your chocolate bar. No, I'm just kidding. That's the very beginnings of your chocolate bar. So how does that become that smooth, velvety chocolate bar that you love? Well, I would like to share briefly about the process of how chocolate is made, from the beans to the bar. So first you harvest those cocoa pods, you break them open, you remove the cocoa beans, ferment them, you put them out in the sun to dry, then you put them into an oven to roast, then you do some fancy processes, you crack and winnow them, grind and conch them, you temper them, which gives chocolate that nice smooth sheen. Then you pour them into molds and voila, that delicious chocolate bar that you love. So now I have another question. How many of you know what chocolate has to do with human trafficking? Unfortunately, I have to tell you today that there's actually a problem with chocolate. So what is the problem with chocolate? The problem is that most grocery store chocolate is made from unethically sourced cocoa beans. In fact, chocolate is one of the most exploited products in the food industry. And what I mean by exploited is that there's actual human slave labor involved. And there are two different kinds. The first one is unethical and illegal working environments and inadequate reimbursement. And the second one is forced labor against someone's will, so actual human slavery. And I know we all recognize these household name brand chocolates here. And unfortunately, I have to let you know that these name brands source their cocoa beans unethically. Did you know that from 2 countries in Western Africa comes 60 to 70% of the world's chocolate? From 2 countries in Western Africa comes 60 to 70% of the world's chocolate. The Ivory Coast and Ghana. And in these 2 countries are 2.5 million small cocoa farms. And working in these 2.5 million small cocoa farms are 2.3 million children. And it wouldn't be a big deal if these children went to school, they came home, they helped their mother and father around the farm, cleaning up, putting cocoa beans in baskets. However, that is not the case. 90% of these children are working in illegal environments. They are working with they're working with chemicals and pesticides unprotected. They're working with dangerous equipment and machinery. They are underage, they are getting paid little to nothing, and none of them go to school. And then about 90,000 of those children are actual human slaves that have been kidnapped from neighboring countries and brought to the Ivory Coast and Ghana against their will. At this time, I would like to hear from the voices of the children that have worked on these cocoa farms.
Jenny Alekanta anta kume furenang. Kubara de me ba jonya la furula. Ba tu takana ata sɔngɔ wa du fɛ bon a b'a taa mɔgɔw ta kana gurupe ɲɔgɔn kan patɔrɔn m'a fɔ sisan ko ni dɔ nana boli bon n'ale tigi sɔrɔla a bɛ na faga siranya fana bɛ don an tɛ se ka bori ni fana borila taga yɔrɔ t'i fɛ I bɛ taga fan fɛ a bɛ n'i minɛ ni fana nana minɛ a bɛ n'i bugɔ ɲɛnɛma a bɛ siri k'i bugɔ sisan ka da tugu i da la yen k'u minɛ k'a bolo siri ten ka sɔrɔ dɔ b'a bugɔ yan dɔ b'a bugɔla kɔfɛ n'u b'a fɛ ka bugɔ i b'i ta dugu bɔ ka buru fila sigi a kɔ ten ka bugɔ ɲɛnɛma. How long would they be for? An b'a bugɔ siɲɛ fila wula fɛ ani sɔgɔma.
K'aw bugɔ cogo jumɛn la? B'a ye.
How old is this boy?
He's 18 now.
18 now. Your body is covered in scars. Can you tell us what happened to you?
We an taga na bila baara la bon baara nana gan n nana ye n force tɛ se ka baara kɛ n borila sisan bon n borila min kɛ u taara minɛ ka na n bugɔ sisan a bugɔla min kɛ bana ni baara digila ɲɔgɔn na a dɛsɛla a tɛ se ka taama tuguni a lala ten ka sɔrɔ chef taara ka taa n ta ka na ni fari tigɛ a fari bɛ tigɛ ka joli bɔ a la ni a bɛ baara kɛ joli ni bɛna kɛ dɔɔni dumɔgɔw b'a domu k'a kɛ dɔɔni a bɛna toru kɛ fɛn don a bɛna ban ka to baara la yen.
In the time that you were working on the plantation, was anybody killed like this?
Ka bugɔ k'a faga a bɛ bana ni dɔ bugɔla n'a a ma dimina k'a kɛ a tɛ se ka foyi kɛ a b'a ta ka taga n'a ye ka taa bila ka taa fɔ an fɛ k'ale taara bila
Ka taa la bara.
a b'a fɔ ten k'ale tagara bila ka taa ye.
Was anybody here paid any money for their work?
mɔgɔ dɔ bɛ baara kɛ o ta ka taa wari d'a fɛ.
And how many years were you working for?
N ka kɛ sanji looro ni kalo wɔɔrɔ t'ale bɛ ban.
When you think back on what you've had to do for these last 5 years, what does it make you feel?
Ni n bɛ miiri ale la n ta dusu bɛ n dimi kɔnɔ na quoi a bɛ n dimi kɛ kuma caman jigin n ta dusukun na ka sɔrɔ n tɛ se k'a kɛ.
The cocoa goes into making chocolate. Have you ever tasted chocolate?
M'ale dɔ dɔn longere.
In the rest of the world, millions and millions of people eat chocolate. What would you tell those people?
Ni n b'a fɛ ka kuma fɔ o ma sisan olu minnu b'a san ka taa domu sisan ni sɛgɛla la ka sɔrɔ n tɛ foyi sɔrɔ a la k'a domu n bɛna olu le dɔgɔya n b'a fɔ olu fɛ olu bɛ n ta basi le domu na ne bɛ sɛgɛla la ka sɔrɔ n tɛ tɔnɔ sɔrɔ a la olu bɛ laban kɛ na olu bɛna ale san ka taa domu ka sɔrɔ n bɛ baara kɛ min fɛ ale tɛ foyi sɔrɔ foyi di ne fɛ n b'olu le dɔgɔya ka f'u fɛ u bɛ n ta basi le domu na.
Okay, what we just saw there was the absolutely darkest side of chocolate. So what do we do about this? I would like to present some solutions. The first thing we can do is research chocolate and human slavery. The very first steps toward change start with awareness. The second thing we can do is that we can boycott unethical chocolates on the market. But thankfully, that doesn't mean we have to stop eating chocolate. Instead, we can purchase only fair trade chocolate. So what is fair trade chocolate? Oops, sorry. What is fair trade chocolate? Fair trade chocolate is chocolate that has been produced ethically and with fair wages and without slave labor. And what does this look like? Fair trade chocolate empowers local farmers who are then able to provide for their families, send their children to school, and it's a ripple effect into the community. The world is a better place. Now I would like to present my personal solution to fighting against human slavery in the chocolate industry. Redemptive Sweets. I started my company, Redemptive Sweets, in 2021, and our goal is to bring redemption to the darkest side of chocolate. So how did this all begin? Well, this all began with dates and peanut butter. Personally, growing up, I didn't like dates. They were too sweet by themselves. But when I got married, my husband and his family enjoyed peanut butter with dates. And I tried the combination and it was incredible. And so it went from peanut butter to mixed nuts to chocolate chips. And then fast forward a couple of years, I was praying and I was asking God, how can I help others? What do you want me to do? I just wished I had more money. But instead of God sending me piles of money in the mail, he gave me this idea to why not stuff the nuts in the dates and dip them in chocolate and create a healthy Snickers. So that's what I did. And what began as a kitchen hobby soon became a very real business opportunity. So if you see on this far left side, that is my first prototype box. And I made a couple of those boxes and I presented them to a variety of different audiences, including my marketing company, and the feedback I got was positive. And so after much brainstorming, we came up with the name Liberates, which I feel represents our cause for liberty perfectly. And not even a year later, we had our first production day and sold 200 boxes in a local store in Lancaster. So a little bit more about my product. What exactly are Liberates? Liberates are chocolate covered nut-filled dates. We use fair trade dark chocolate, either 70% dark or 100% dark. We use organic medjool dates, which we get from the USA. We use organic mixed nuts. And then finally, we top them with a variety of natural and tasty toppings. And so not only are Liberates organic and fair trade, but they are also absolutely delicious. This is my son, William, and he loves Liberates. A little bit more about why they're awesome. Liberates are awesome because they are a delicious treat for any occasion. And not only are they healthy, heavenly, but they're also healthy. They're 100% guilt-free. And we, as I already mentioned, we use fair trade chocolate. The dates contain natural sugar for sweetness, which is very exciting because if you choose 100% dark Liberates, it's diabetic friendly. And all of our ingredients are whole foods and organic. And finally, but most importantly to me, Liberates provides an employment opportunity for York City youth. So my company, Redemptive Sweets, partnered with Titans of Peace Christian School to provide an after-school job for the high school girls. Our current operation, we are having 1 to 2 Saturdays a month for production, and we are selling our product at Titans of Peace Christian School as well as Harvest Lane Farm in Lancaster. Our future objectives are to expand to more hours of work, as well as start an online store and shipments, which we're very excited about. So just briefly, a little bit of the benefits that my company provides the students. It provides them with a safe and collaborative work environment, work experience, high-paying job, and future benefits as well. So at this time, I'd like to share a little bit about the business challenges that we faced in the startup of Redemptive Sweets. So the first challenge was becoming an entrepreneur, and the challenge was turning a home kitchen hobby into a profitable production. So my solution was to build slow and steady. I'm a huge fan of quality over quantity. And so that really helped me to manage my expectations. However, I still had to be okay with the process taking time. The second challenge I faced was the buying of fair trade products. So it's specifically fair trade chocolate in bulk quantities. It's extremely hard to find. And so my solution was lots of diligent research. I would spend Saturdays and evenings researching. I reached out to different companies with emails. And thankfully, I was finally able to find a satisfactory chocolate supplier. However, I'm still diligently researching because there is some controversy as to whether all the chocolate suppliers within the Fair Trade Certified database are 100% transparent and honest with their operations. So the next challenge was locating a commercial kitchen. I'm sure you all are well aware of the fact that certified kitchens require careful blueprints and regulated standards for food production. My solution was to, instead of starting from scratch, why not partner with an already established certified kitchen, which in my situation worked out perfectly because I had already been hoping to employ the high school students at Titans of Peace Christian School, and they allowed me to use their certified kitchen. So it was a win-win situation because the students were already familiar with the setting and I didn't have to start from scratch. So collaboration was key. The next challenge was escalating production to business volumes. So it is one thing to make 100 dates in a kitchen where you're very comfortable with it. And quite another thing to make 1,500 dates in a kitchen that you're not comfortable with. So for our first production day, we went in expecting to be done in about 8 hours. Over 24 hours later, we finally finished our 200 boxes for sale. So that was a tremendous learning curve. But what we learned from that is that we can regulate in order to make larger quantities of dates, we will have to regulate our production. It's a bite-sized task. So for example, preparing our boxes ahead of time, stuffing dates ahead of time, so that way we can spend all day dipping instead of just half the day. And another challenge was hiring students. So students are minors that require special documentation as well as they have limited working availability. So my solution was to make sure all of my employees had their proper documentation the day before their first work day. So I currently have 3 employees and they all had to acquire a work permit from their local school district. And the other solution was to have our production days on Saturdays. And we are looking to expand to the evening hours as well. However, I want my company to not take away from their schoolwork, but rather be complementary to it. The second to last business challenge we faced was building trust. So every retailer that takes on a new product is also taking on a certain level of risk. Will the product sell? Will it not sell? So my solution to bridging that was to offer my retailer a risk-free trial where any inventory that did not sell, they can have a refund on that within the allotted time frame that we chose. And lastly, this last one is the sacrifice and risk required. So every new venture, there's a leap of faith that's required. And that leap requires you to embrace the challenges, the fear of the unknown, the fear of failure, and the sacrifice. And I knew in order to be successful, I would have to fully embrace all of that. And continue to be willing to embrace that. And so my solution was to stay true to my motivation, which brings me to this very important point of my presentation. Know your why. So whether you are a fellow businessman or a fellow businesswoman, a politician in local governments, or a community leader, know your why. Simon Sinek is a personal business inspiration to me. And Simon Sinek says this. He says, as for us, those who choose to embrace the infinite mindset, our journey is one that will lead us to feel inspired every morning, safe when we're at work, and fulfilled at the end of each day. And when it is time to leave the game, we will look back at our lives and our careers and say, I lived a life worth living. And important when imagining what the future holds, we will see how many people we've inspired to carry on the journey without us. So, is your journey worth carrying on? Is your why infinite? In other words, is your why one that can be passed on to others because of its goodness, because of its just cause? I would like to leave us with this challenge. So know your why. My why is to provide a collaborative and safe work environment for the high school girls. My employees' why is to fight against human slavery and to be a voice for those who cannot speak. My customers' why is to enjoy a delicious treat, 100% guilt-free, and at the same time make a difference in the world. I would like to leave us with this challenge. An excellent business is characterized by more than simple profit margins. An excellent business ensures honesty and equity at every intersection of its dealings. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your patience in giving Rebekah that much needed time to share her important program with us. We are so grateful for the work that you're doing, for bringing the horrors of human trafficking to the forefront, and for your solution on solving that problem. Thank you. We wish you all the best in all that you're doing. In honor of Rebekah's presentation today, she has signed the book plate on the book Dig by A.S. King, which we will give to the Logos Academy to take back to their library. Next week is our economic forecast program. I know you're all going to want to be here for that. The presentation is by Linda Dussel, Senior Equity Strategist for Federated Hermes. and she'll look at the short and long-term economic and investment implications of the COVID-19 pandemic. She's been a regular contributor to CNBC's Closing Bell and has appeared on Fox News, Your World with Neil Cavuto, and Bloomberg Television. She's also been extensively quoted by the Associated Press, the Wall Street Journal, and Barron's, and has been featured in the annual roundtables for USA Today and Smart Money magazine. So make sure you're here. We've heard her speak before, and she's fabulous. In closing, our quote is by Isaac Newton. If I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. Rotarians, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. This meeting is adjourned.